Alright, so welcome back to Terraforming Mars Colonies. What's in the box? This is part 3. So now we're going to get started going over the cards that come with this expansion that do not concern the Venus Next. And we're going to go over the cards that work with your fleets and your colonies, etc., first. Then we'll go over the pile of cards that just would work. These cards here would even work if you weren't playing with colonies. You could technically play with all of these here in my hand if you weren't playing with the colonies expansion, because they don't work with anything related to colonies. But there's still quite a few cards here that do. So let's get started. All right. So we have Spaceport Colony for 27, and it requires a colony. So there has to be a colony out. Place a colony, may be placed on a colony tile where you already have a colony. So that's pretty cool. So this is giving you another colony, and it's letting you place it on one you already have a colony on. So that's pretty cool. And then you gain 1 trade fleet. So this is one of those cards that give you a trade fleet, another ship to play with. And then this will be worth 1 victory point per 2 colonies in play. So that's pretty cool. So if there's a lot of colonies, this could be worth a lot of victory points at the end of the game. Then we have Sky Docks. This one costs 18 to play. It also requires you to have played or to have 2 Earth tags in play. The effect is when you play a card, you pay 1 mega credit less for it. But this is where it really shines. You gain 1 trade fleet, and it's worth 2 victory points. So this is the second card that gives you an additional ship. Then we have Spaceport. The cost is 22, and it also requires there to be 1 colony out as well. So requires 1 colony, like I said, but it will allow you to gain another trade fleet. So this one is the third and final card that gives you an additional ship, but it also gives you it also lets you place a city tile as well, but you'll have to decrease your energy production 1 step too. But you do get to increase your mega credit production 4 steps, so that's pretty cool. All right, then we have Cryo Sleep. This is an effect. When you trade, you pay 1 resource for it. It's going to give you a victory point too, and it costs 10. So basically, when you trade, so here's the trade. This is what it's talking about. This here. You may pay 1 less for it. So instead, if you have this effect, you could pay 8 credits instead of 9. You could pay 2 energy instead of 3. Or you could pay 2 titanium instead of 3. So that's basically what it's saying. You'd get to pay a little less for doing that action. That's pretty cool. Then we have Ecology Research. Now this is probably my favorite card here for this expansion. It gives you it costs 21 money, first of all, but it will increase your plant production 1 step for each colony you own. So if you have a lot of colonies, you're going to get to increase your plant production quite a bit. But that's not all. You also get to add 1 animal to another card and 2 microbes to another card. So this is like a really awesome card. But only if you've been doing the colony strategy and have a lot of your own colonies in the game. You don't get to count other players' colonies for this card. You only get to count your own. So that's pretty cool, though. If you had, even if you were just playing with 2 players and you had 1 colony in each colony tile, and there's 4 colony tiles for a 2-player game, then you could get your plant production increased by 4. That is awesome, phenomenal, cool card. Okay, then we have Minority Refuge. This only costs 5 money, and it lets you place a colony. So this is one of those cards I told you about that's cheaper than just building a colony, because this one lets you place it for just 5 money instead of 17, basically. But it is going to decrease your mega credit production steps by 2. So that is the downside for Minority Refuge, but I think it's still worth it, especially if your mega credit production is pretty high. Then we have Molecular Printing for 11 money. You're going to get 1 mega credit for each city tile in play, and you're also going to get 1 mega credit for each colony in play. This is only worth playing towards the end of the game when there's lots of city tiles and lots of colonies out there. Then you got to do the math. Are you going to get more credits than 11 back? Because if you're not, then this is all, you're wasting money with this card. So that's something to note. This one only costs 1, and it's called Market Manipulation. You get to increase one colony tile track 1 step and decrease another colony tile track 1 step. So what does that mean? Well, let's grab 2 tiles. Well, not Europa though. That's confusing. So let's say the cube there is on the 2 for Pluto, and for Callisto, let's say the cube here is on 3. Let's say you wanted to increase, what this one is going to say is you get to increase one of these colony tracks 1 step. So then you would move that one up 1, so that's 5 now, and this would go down by 1, basically. But here's the thing, there can't be anything blocking it. So if there are 2 colonies here, you couldn't go down 1 because you couldn't move this further down. So you'd have to pick one that can actually be moved down in order to do it. Is that worth it? Maybe. It depends. It depends. I mean, it only costs 1 money, so it's really only worth it if you're planning on trading there in the future. And I mean, like in the very near future, would that be really worth it? So that's market manipulation. Then we have mining colony. This one, it will increase your titanium production 1 step, but it also lets you place a colony. And it only basically costs 3 more mega credits than the normal price. Is it worth it? Maybe, because you do get to increase your titanium production 1 step, so it might be worth it. For just 3 extra mega credits, I would think that's a deal. Okay, then we have Ice Moon Colony. This one is 23 money, so that's about 6 money more than the normal build a colony, because this one will actually let you place a colony, but it also lets you place an ocean tile too. So place an ocean tile the old-fashioned way could be 18 money, and placing a colony the old-fashioned way would be 17 money. You do the math. That's almost 40 mega credits. But for 23, you'd get to do both of these. So that's a deal. That is a deal for sure. Then we have Interplanetary Colony Ship. For 12 money, you get to place a colony. Well, that's a deal, considering it's 17 normally. So this is 5 cheaper. That's cool. Then we have Trade Envoys. This is one of those blue effects cards, and only costs 6 money. So when you trade, you may first increase that colony tract 1 step. So this is really a cool ability. So whenever you do your trade fleet ability, to move your trade fleet to a planet like here, Callisto, you would get to move the nice, wonderful white marker up 1 step with this effect before you trade there, right before, as you're doing it. So that is awesome. That could be very beneficial, very useful to have this ability. So that's really cool. Then we have Trading Colony. For 18 money, when you trade, you may first increase that colony tile tract 1 step. So this one does the same thing the other one did for a lot more money, but when you think about it, it's not so much, because it's also going to let you place a colony as well. And it only costs 1 more than the original price of 17. So that is cool. And to have this awesome ability, that is a deal for sure. Then we have Rim Freighters, or Freighters, sorry, Freighters. It's a freighter ship. So for 4 money, when you trade, you pay 1 less resource for it. So this is pretty cool. This is a cool ability to have. Another one of those abilities where you could decrease it. So like when you trade, instead of paying 3 energy, you could pay 2 energy. You know, instead of 3 titanium, you could pay 2 titanium. Instead of paying 9 credits, you could pay 8 credits instead. Your choice. But this would decrease it by 1 for whatever one you decided to choose. So that's really cool. That's another ability that's useful. Then we have Urban Decomposers. Now, in order to play this, you do need to have a city tile and a colony tile in play. But other than that, it doesn't really do much with colonies, except for the fact that you can't play this without having a colony tile in play, which is why it's in this pile, because you wouldn't be able to play this card without playing with colonies. So if you meet those requirements, then you get to increase your plant production 1 step and add 2 microbes to another card for the price of just 6. So that is a good deal. Now, this one is a max colony, Pioneer Settlement. This one requires that you have no more than 1 colony. You have no more than 1 colony. If another player has it, I think you could probably still play this card. I'd have to double check on that one. But regardless of the case, if there was only 1 colony or 0 colonies out, you could then play this card. And for 13 money, that's pretty cheap. But then it also decreases your mega credit production 2 steps. Is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know for sure on this one, if it would be worth it or not. I guess it would just depend on a variety of factors. Now, this one requires 8 money to play, but you also need 4 science tags. So you can't play this unless you have 4 science tags in play. But you get to increase your mega credit production 1 step for each colony in play. So if there's a lot of colonies in play, you're going to get to increase your mega credit production quite a bit. But since you probably can't play it towards the end of the game, that's still a good card. Then for 0 money, you can do Productive Outpost. This is a really cool card. Gain all of your colony bonuses. So if you play this towards the end of the game, when you have a lot of colonies out, you're going to get a lot of bonuses with this one played card. If you do it in the beginning of the game when you only have like 1 colony, well, you'll get something, but you won't get much in comparison. So it'd be better to save this for when you have, a few colonies out, 3 or 4, Awesome deal. Still, nonetheless. And then we have Research Colony. The last one of the cards that work with this expansion that doesn't have to deal with Venus Next anyway. So this one costs 20 to play, and you get to place a colony. And it may be placed where you already have a colony. So this is another one of those cards that lets you place a colony on a colony tile that you already have a colony on. Of course, you don't have to place it there. You can place it wherever you want, as long as there's room for it. But then you also get to draw 2 cards. That is a pretty good deal. I like that card a lot too. And then that's all the cards that work with colonies. And we'll be back in the next video to review the rest of the cards in this expansion.